Hi guys, welcome to episode dos, episode 2, month 2 of Diverse Author of the Month. I look a little rough. My country just went into lockdown again. So okay, this COVID thing is a little bit all over the place. Honestly, I think they should have done it earlier, but they didn't, so here we are. And I didn't go anywhere. Didn't do anything, didn't feel like doing it, putting on any makeup or doing anything like that. So here we are. I'm wearing sweatpants, a very ugly crop top, and no makeup. So we're authentic today, okay? But all that aside, in today's installment of Diverse Author of the Month, we have Khaled Hosseini, I think. Khaled Hosseini. Thank you. Okay, that's what I think it's pronounced as. But yes, that's who we're talking about. And let me start off by saying this is a man who needs no introduction, okay? But it's good for the people that don't know who he is to still give him an introduction. I like to hone in on the background of the author a little bit more because I feel like it just gives you a little bit of a broader perspective of who the author is and what they are like, okay? So, I forgot what his current age is, but I'll put it on the screen here so you can see. But he is a blank-year-old man born in Kabul in Afghanistan. And he is a novelist, he is a physician, he is a humanitarian, and he's an activist. He does it all. It's a lot. Very noble, very honorable. Who moved to France and afterwards moved to the United States, where he attended Santa Clara University and earned his bachelor's degree in biology. After that, he earned his medical degree at University of California, San Diego School of Medicine. He practiced medicine for 10 years, which is roughly about a year and a half after his debut novel, The Kite Runner, came out in 2003, which is also, I think, the novel he's most known for. After that, he released 1,000 Splendid Suns, the book we're talking about today, in 2007, and then he released And the Mountains Echoed in 2013. He also released a illustrated novel called Sea Prayer in 2018. He is currently a UNHCR and has been working to provide humanitarian assistance in Afghanistan through his foundation called the Khaled Hosseini Foundation. Now, to get into the book, it's not too thick. It's almost 400 pages. I got this book from my mom. We just moved and she was looking through all of her books and she said, you have to read this book. Apparently it's really good. She hasn't read it herself, but I was like, okay, cool. Give it to me. Gimme. I'd never heard of Khaled before my mom gave me this book. But a quick Google search told me all I need to know. Apparently a very amazing author, which I cannot vouch for. And yeah, so let's get into what this book is about. Now, I have trouble describing this book without telling you exactly how the plot plays out throughout the book. So I'll do my best, but it might be a little bit short on information. So the story starts off where we meet one of the main characters, Mariam, who is an illegitimate child, and she has to deal with the stigma surrounding her birth throughout her entire life, even leading up to her marriage, where she is abused and also looked down upon for the fact that she is a harami, which is an illegitimate child. And then a bit later in the story, I think it's in part 2, we meet Laila, who is, throughout her youth, a lot more privileged compared to Mariam. But all of that changes once their lives intertwine, and she is forced to accept a marriage proposal from Mariam's husband, Rashid. Throughout the story, we basically see the hardships people have to deal with throughout war and throughout forced and abusive marriages. Now, I want to highlight the fact that a lot of people confuse arranged marriages and forced marriages. An arranged marriage is a marriage where a parent or someone else in the family will introduce their child to a man, mostly, will introduce their daughter to a man, and they will get to know each other and form an actual bond and decide themselves that they want to get married. Whereas a forced marriage is a marriage wherein the child has no choice, and they are very often made to marry way older men when they are still very, very young. So I want to highlight that fact because it is something a lot of people confuse and a lot of people are not educated about. And therefore, there's a lot of stigma surrounding arranged marriages, which in fact are not harmful or, as bad, are not harmful or bad the way forced marriages are. It's a little beside topic, but I wanted to just mention that. Now, I read this book, okay? And I didn't know what to expect. But it was so sad. It took me a lot longer to read this book than it normally takes me to read a book because I found myself having to take a lot of breaks to just digest what was happening and what I was reading because it was often very, very traumatic. Having said all that, I have very high praises for this book. Even though it made me so sad, I think that's what made it so good. It was a very gripping story, and it just followed people and characters that ring very true. And for me, it was a way of kind of seeing into someone that lives a life like that in such traumatic circumstances. I'm happy I got to read this book when I did. I don't even know where to begin. From the writing style to the way the plot develops and where the lives of Miriam and Layla meet and the horrible circumstances they live in, and just it is very, very sad and very gripping, and it just made me feel so bad, which it sounds weird saying I enjoyed the book and it made me feel so bad in the same sentence, but it just means that it was well written and it evoked the emotion it was meant to evoke. This is not a book that you read to feel good. It's not a happy-go-lucky kind of story. With that whole story happening and everything going on, we still, in the end, have somewhat of a good ending, all things considered, which I'm not going to spoil, so you have to read the book. It's not that long. It's like 360 pages. You can read it. But I would highly, highly implore people to read this. Now, I want to add a few trigger warnings for this book, because I would not recommend this book to everyone. There's a lot of abuse mentioned. So it's a trigger warning for abuse, a trigger warning for a suicide. It it happens once within the story. And I didn't saw it coming, and it kind of took me off guard. So I just want to put that in there. If that is a topic you are completely uncomfortable with or not, like, unable to read, then I will look up the exact page or the chapter in which it is mentioned, so I can put it like on the screen here, so you know if you do want to read the book that you have to skip past that part. But yes, especially the trigger warning for abuse, because it is a heavy topic throughout the story, and it gets mentioned a lot and in pretty graphic words. Okay, so now we have those trigger warnings. Anyone else who does not have a problem with those subjects being discussed, I highly implore you to read this book, because there are great messages within this book for people that maybe have been in a situation like this, or people that want to kind of learn about it. It's a very educational book in the sense that it brings a perspective that you as yourself can't experience. And I think that is very powerful and very important. So, that was all I had to say about the book. I've not read any of his other books, but I will definitely be reading them because I've heard amazing things about The Kite Runner. So I think that's a book I'll be reading in 2021, which thank God 2020 is almost over. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you pick this book up because you should. You really should. It is old. Like, this was released in 2007, but I think this is one of those books that stays relevant forever and ever and ever. And it's a very important piece of literature. So I hope you pick that up and you give it a go. And if not, maybe look into some of his other works to see if you would enjoy any of those books. And yes, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.